going to be joined by a man that holds a 19-0 record with one draw. He's 13 KOs in his record as well. He's the WBC Continental America's featherweight champion. He's number 2 in the IBF, number 4 WBC, number 7 WBO, number 8 WBA ranked featherweight contender. That is none other than Omar Trinidad. Omar, appreciate you taking time to come on today, man.
Oh man, thank you for having me here, man. And having this interview. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely, man. Well, it's an honor to have you on, man.
Yeah, man. And I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Let's get right to it, man. You had your most recent fight, Alexander Espinoza, unanimous decision. You did your thing out there, 190 on the scorecard, 98, 92, 99, 91 on the other one. Obviously, it was a great performance overall. I'm sure you've now rewatched it, kind of taken bits and pieces from it. What's your thoughts on the fight now?
Man, like I'm my s- I'm my worst biggest critic, man. I'm hard on myself, and I was one more out of me. Like of course I wanted the knockout, but sometimes these guys are durable. They
Yeah.
come and they come ready, and they have some of them got good chins, some have glass ones. But yeah, man, all I could take away is how patient I am, how strong I hit, how my IQ has elevated, and it was good experience, man. Another 10 rounds in the bag, and that guy was rough. He came to a
Yeah.
rough house, and I'm glad I survived that.
When you get into a situation with a guy like Alexander Espinoza, obviously, I think you were obviously dominating him the whole fight, maybe a given round or two, whatever the case might be. But like you said, the biggest thing is that he was very durable. He wasn't going to get knocked out in that fight. When you're going through a situation like that, does your mindset shift when you get towards, the back end, let's say round 8, 9, 10, when you know that he's probably not going to be a KO in this fight? Does your mindset shift at all? Do you just try to get out with the win, or what kind of goes through your mind at that point?
I mean, a lot of things are running through your mind, like uh you got a real one in front of you. But me, it doesn't. I just adapt. We got a plan. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes you have to go to plan B. But honestly, my mind shifts on that in the sense of like, all right, I got a guy that came to us tonight. Now let's adapt.
All right. When you talk about this fight now, I'm sure, I think in my opinion, as long as you go through a fight, whether it's a win, lose, or draw, whatever the case might be, as long as you learn from it, it's always a huge thing too. Is there something that you feel like when you look back at the fight that you learned that you grew in now that you look back at it?
Oh yeah, of course, man. Something is very obvious. Like before, like starting my career, I was very like jittery. Like I was just trying to get the knockout, no IQ, just throwing punches. And
Right.
now I select everything, slow down. Now I pick my shots. I
Hmm.
hurt my opponent with the shots I predicted that I was gonna hurt him with, and just the maturity up there, the IQ and the maturity.
Absolutely. Well, I want people to get to know your story, Mar, because you are one of the top featherweights in the entire world right now. And I want people to get to know who you are, how you've gotten to where you are at today. And so, growing up, I have to ask, was boxing the sport you always wanted? Did that come on later in life, or what got you into boxing?
Oh no, man! Like boxing was always part of my life, even before I knew it was part of my life. Like I found out that my one of my uncles was a boxer. The side of my family there was boxers, but since I was a kid, man, I was always a fighter. I was fighting in the streets of Mexico when I came to LA, and it just came so naturally, man. Like my dad kind of figured out that I had this anger in me, and he's like, I'm gonna take you to a gym, and you could let it out right there. And I
Mm.
fell in love with boxing from there, and now it was just boxing.
Obviously, you fell in love at that age, but I'm sure it took a little bit longer till you realized you were going to be the type of player, the type of fighter you are today. When did that click? When did you feel like, you know what, this isn't just something I love. This is something I can go make money off of. Let this become my profession, my life.
Well, honestly, it's when you're young and you look at the idols you have, and like Chavez, Tyson, and
Yeah.
you want to do what they do, right?
Hmm.
Like, like have those belts, accomplish everything they accomplish. But when I was 13, man, I hang up the gloves, and I had a layoff for a long time. I
Hmm.
came back at 23, 24, and I was like, you know what? I was seeing friends do it, and I had the little itch. So I was like, why not give it a try? And I gave it a try, and look, man, it all worked out. And it was crazy because I had boxing out of my mind for a long time, and it just came so suddenly. And I was like, hey, making money and making people pay for it, why not, man? It sounds like a dream.
What led to the giving up the gloves for a little bit? Why'd you want to move on from boxing?
Honestly, man, I mean, I pay a lot of respect to the people, to the fighters that never hanged up the gloves and stick with it. Cause
Right.
a lot of sacrifice. You have no childhood. You give up a lot of situations, a lot of fun moments. And to me, I was just tired, I guess. I wanted to have a life. And I
Mm.
saw my friends having fun, having their summer. And yeah, I just gave it up and just focused on whatever I wanted to focus. Wish I hadn't though, but that's what happened and things happen for a reason. And I'm just glad I came back and I'm doing what I'm doing.
When you decided to make your return, come back into boxing, what was the biggest factor? Why'd you say, you know what, now's the time I'm going to go pursue this sport? This is going to be my livelihood now. What made you make that decision?
Time, man. Time. Because I know time was running. And
Mm,
time was running now and I was older, when you don't really think much about growing up, but it hit me when I was like 18 and 21. I was like, man, I gotta do something with my life. I
okay.
can't just not to say that 9 to 5 ain't a good thing or whatever, but I wanted more. I
Mm,
wanted more. I was at those warehouse jobs and all that, and I wanted more. And I had friends who tell me, even my own family, like, "Hey, you had the golden ticket, you gotta cash it in." So I
mm,
was like, "Why not give it a try? It wouldn't hurt to try." I'd
right.
rather regret the things I did than the things I didn't.
You know, it's always a tough predicament with boxing because you know that the floor for boxing obviously is not going to always make a lot of money. It's not a guarantee that things are going to happen. It's rough in the early stages of your careers, but you have to, if you stay fine tuned to it, if you stay locked in on the sport, obviously we know there's a lot more things that come from it in the back end of it. For yourself, in those early years, when you first turn pro and you're starting to go through this process, what kept you bought in saying, you know what, I know there's going to be brighter days. I know I'm going to get to a point where I'm going to be financially stable in the sport.
Just believe it, man. Being a
Mm,
little crazy and a little delusional, you just
right.
gotta believe it. There's gonna be dark days. Everybody gone through those. Everybody has their sob story. Everybody has their downs, but it's how you get up. It's how you approach it. You can't feel
Mm,
sorry for yourself. You just gotta believe, man. Just believe it. Even if it's a little bit, just keep believing, man. If you're really working for it, like how my dad has always told me, hard work pays off. There's no hard work that goes unnoticed.
mm.
So sooner or later, you're gonna get your shot. And look at it now, man. I'm not where I want to be yet, but not where I used to be. And I'm just very thankful, man, to have the things I have now.
If I knew that 21-year-old Omar and I came and told you, hey, in 2025, midway through it, you're going to be a top five contender in the world for the featherweight division, possibly getting yourself in line for a world championship shot within the next year or so, what would your reaction have been?
I think I would just laugh. I would think I would think you're just lying,
Mm,
because I had what was don't get me wrong. I always knew what I was capable of, and I know that drive that I got, and I could do anything. I felt I could do anything. But at that moment in time, in the situation I was, I'd probably be like, man, this guy is full of it. I don't believe it.
so when do you think that came to reality for yourself? When did you start to realize I have a legitimate chance of being a contender, a high level contender, maybe even a world champion?
When I started seeing the results, when
Mm,
I started showing up and planning things out and executing them, man. Like with the team that I got now, fundamentals, and my
right.
family, having that support system, man, you could accomplish anything in this life. I could have became, with that type of support, I believe I would have became anything I put my mind to.
Was there a certain fight that all came together for yourself, or has it more so been a building process as you've gone from one fight to another? You start to realize, you know what, I'm better. I can do it. I'm at this level. And I'm at this level. I'm at this level. How would you say the progression has been for you in that sense?
Um, I think fight that kind of solidify it that I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna do something with this. It
Mm,
was way before that. Like I knew I was gonna do something. I mean, at least I had a firm belief. But with the thing that just signed it off was when I won my title, the
mm,
WBC. Man, that's the one
right.
when I was like, you know what? I'm in the rodeo and I'm built for this.
All right. You know, for so many people, boxing is something that they've done their entire lives. You talked about, and that's obviously high testament to themselves. When you talk about having to make up ground in a sense for yourself, was that easy for yourself? I know you obviously came from a younger age, you had some experience, but was it easy to make up for the time, or how did you kind of adjust to that component?
I think the toughest process of that was the mental
Mm,
game, because I
right.
was like, I'm older now. I started late. There's younger guys with bigger potential and bigger fan base and people believing in them 100%. And I'm a nobody.
Mm,
I'm a nobody that just came out of left field. And I know I work hard for this. Blush. blood, shed, and tears, man. But it almost feels effortless. I feel like I'm on God's timing, man.
Mm.
It's all in God's hand, and maybe that's why it feels effortless because it was just meant to be.
How big has your trust in God been throughout this journey?
Um, I think I developed a relationship. Like when I was younger, I didn't really care, pay no mind. But
Right.
things happen in your life that put you in perspective. They put
Mhm.
you in perspective. Losing friends, being in down and out moments, and coming out of the trenches.
Yeah.
Like in this moment, like I came from nothing and now I'm getting something that probably I didn't ask for and it's working out. And
Mm.
it feels effortless on top of that. So I just feel like I'm blessed and it's all God's plan.
You said something key there. And I think that's the case for any believer is that, you're going to go through ups and downs, but so often that point when you give your full surrender to God and you truly put your trust in Him is during a down season of life. And that's kind of crazy how it is. But for yourself, you kind of alluded to that there. Was there a moment you look back and you say, that was when I put my faith and trust in God? Like, that's when it truly kind of settled in and said, okay, there's someone bigger than me. I need to put my trust in Him.
Um, there's many moments where I realized it. I
Okay.
didn't trust it fully, but how I mentioned in certain situation I was put in, I was like, damn, there is a God, right?
Right.
And how he could give it, he could take it away. So
Mm.
it's like, because a lot of things were taken away in my life, so that's kind of made me like not resentful, but kind of like, okay, there's somebody out there pushing the buttons and everything, right?
Right.
But I think when I started putting my faith on God was when things were like when I wasn't believing and it was still happening. I was like, man, there's something bigger than me in here.
Yeah.
It gives me chills as I think about it, but because out of everybody, like, why do I gotta be the chosen one, right? In a
Hmm.
sense, and it feels effortless, like somebody else is taking the all the weight, and
Right.
that's when I started believing, and I'm still in the process of it, man. Don't get me wrong,
Yep.
of
Yep.
believing. It takes time and accepting it, but you could say I'm a firm believer, bro.
I love that, man. And I want to add one more point to that is that you just talked about the fact that you're not done yet. And that's a key story for any believers. Listen, we're not perfect. We're always going to make mistakes, and there's going to be a long journey to get better. We're never going to be perfect. So, for yourself, acknowledging that you're not perfect yet, you still want to grow. Has that humility always been a part of you? Have you developed that later on in life, or how'd you grow in that aspect?
I think I always had it. It's just with age, it matures, right? It
Right.
matures, you realize. But I feel like I always had it, man. My parents raised me right, and that
Hmm.
was made me realize my wrongs, how I realized my rights, and yeah, man, I think that was always part of me.
I love that. Well, I want to go back into something else we're discussing a little bit ago, and that's the wear and tear aspect. We know that for some guys that do boxing from the time they're young up until they're in the pros, a lot of wear and tear happens. It's a brutal sport, obviously, in boxing. For yourself, do you feel like it almost now benefited you? Obviously, you know where you're at today, but not having as much wear and tear on you, has that benefited you now?
I believe so. I believe
Right.
so, man, because I had people that I know that hanged up the gloves right before they were gonna struck gold, and that's because maybe they got bored of their career,
Mm,
maybe things weren't working out, or their body wasn't functioning anymore.
right.
And I feel like that works into my favor, that my body didn't take a lot of wear and tear, and it was a more simple way to catch up.
Okay. Let's go into your pro career. 2018. You start your career off with the draw. Obviously, not the most ideal start. How did that first fight go for yourself when you look back at it now?
Honestly, man, like when I first started boxing, I went in for health issues, right? I
Mm,
didn't really talk about this a lot, but I was detected with high blood pressure. So the doctor told me just go to the gym, keep yourself busy, and it should regulate at some point. I
mm,
started, I live in Boyle Heights, so this is a gym that a lot of people should know. It's Holland Big Gym. It's a community gym. I
okay.
started there because it was free, and then I entered. They kept telling me because I knew people there. They were like, "Hey, you should lace them up and spar." I'm like, "Nah, I just came here to hit the bags." And I went in there with the kid up, bro, and I'm like, "Damn, I got it." I think I struck gold, bro, without realizing it. And yeah, that's how it went, man. Like I started, and it just developed into a fight offer. I took it just to experience it, and I got the draw. I took it as a loss, and I'm like, I'm never gonna lose again, and that was my
Mm.
drive.
What's crazy about that is that's an actual accurate statement. Obviously, you've never lost in your career. You said you obviously look at that almost as if it is a loss in a certain sense, but you end up going in that situation. How did you learn from that? How did you learn moving forward, saying, you know what, probably not the most ideal start, starting with a draw. How did you learn and bounce back from that?
Just be ready. Because I
Mm,
wasn't even ready for that fight, man. Truthfully
okay.
talking, I just took it. Because to me, it wasn't a big deal. I wasn't. I was like, I'm not even trying to make a career out of this, or win, lose, or draw. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So I went. What I took from that is that I'm never gonna not work hard and not work to
Mm,
win because I don't like losing. I don't think nobody likes losing, but to me, it's like I'm never gonna get a draw or lose ever again if I can. Now,
okay.
if I lose to a bigger name, to a guy that worked his ass off, cool. But it's
Mm,
not, and I'm not gonna lose it because I didn't prepare for it.
right. You know what's also crazy about that statement there? So it's kind of, I guess, you can kind of clarify if I'm right here, but it sounds almost like you obviously made your pro debut, but you weren't in the pro mindset yet. So would you say that pro mindset, saying, you know what, this is my career, my path, did that settle in for yourself after that fight? Then
Yeah, in the process, maybe
okay,
not during a fight or after a fight, but just as I worked and I got
okay,
myself ready for the next one. You
gotcha.
know, develop that mentality and the struggles that I put into this, and that just made me mature and like, you know what? I'm taking this serious.
2018 was your pro debut. 2020 is when you returned to the ring. Why was there such a long layoff between those two times?
Just man, like it takes a minute to kind of make big decisions like that, right?
Okay,
Because
right.
when you start this career, it's not just to play, right? It's
Hmm.
real. You're gonna waste people times, you're gonna waste people efforts. So you're really gonna do it, you're really gonna make it count. And
Right.
just problems outside of boxing, man. You know life, how it gets. But yeah, man, as soon as I locked in, I took it very serious.
Something I really appreciate about your career is that you stay very active at this point. I mean, you're talking 3, 4 fights almost every single calendar year. How beneficial has that been for you staying as active as you have?
No, very beneficial, man.
All right.
It keeps you in your rhythm, keeps you confident, it keeps you relevant, it keeps you growing.
Mm,
So that's one of the reasons. There's many reasons, but one of the biggest reasons I signed with 360 is for the activity. And I'm
mhm.
glad they delivered and they're delivering.
That was actually my next question I was going to ask you about. 360, Tom Loeffler, obviously a great promotional company. When you talk about being part of them, what makes them so special? Why do you like being a part of that group?
Man, it's like a family. They're
Mm,
cool people, man. I talk to them on a regular basis. We
okay.
we discuss opponents, events. If they discuss it with my manager, we have a very trustful relationship, and they take care of me, man. Shout out Tom Lovner, Mike Styles, and everybody in the company. They're not only my promoters, but my friends too.
When you talk about the future, obviously you're having discussions with them and you are in that position now where you are one of the top contenders. Where do they see yourself? What's their plan for you? Is it going to stay active for the next year or so? Or when do they start seeing, having, what's the kind of the plan in terms of getting yourself ready for that world style chance?
So what I heard and what I think, it just staying active and just get the experience. Because those guys that are at top, they're guys that never stop. That their IQ so high. I feel like
Mhm.
I could be anybody of them, but I feel like there's a time and place for that. And
Okay.
I feel like they just developing me, man. And I believe in them and in my team.
How much longer until you feel like you're ready to go out again, fight anything? Obviously, I think in your mentality, confidence wise, you're probably ready right now. But when do you feel like you're going to get that shot? And when do you feel like you will be personally 100% ready for a world title shot?
How you said it, man. I feel like right now,
All right.
right now, I'm ready, man. But realistically speaking, right on
Mhm.
paper and everything, um, I think next year. I can
Okay.
see it. I would love it to happen by the end of this year, but hey, it doesn't matter, man. It was coming and was promised. It's gonna happen, and I know it's gonna happen sooner or later. But if I want to put my money like where I think it's gonna happen, I think next year, the latest.
We look at all the belts. You're obviously ranked number 2 in the IBF right now, number 4 WBC. If you look on paper, those probably will be the two shots that make the most realistic sense for the world title shot. Is there one or the other that you're positioning yourself for that you want to go down that route, or does it not really matter to you?
At the end of the day, man, beggars can be choosers, and it doesn't really matter
Right.
whichever rings my phone first. But I always said this, man. WBC,
Okay.
WBC to me is very majestic and is very majestic, and all the guys that I look up to had it. So
Right.
I want to win it. So mentally, I could put myself in their circle too.
Mhm. You know what's interesting about the WBC route? That makes a lot of sense too, because we know Stephen Fulton obviously is going to be vacating most likely. Obviously, I don't think it's officialized yet, but he will be vacating, moving up to 130 then. Obviously, Ray Vargas champion recess. So do you see yourself? Obviously, I'm sure Ray Vargas will probably get a shot first and within the next few months, and then we'll go get an opportunity probably for yourself next year. Is that most likely kind of the game plan you see for yourself fighting for possibly Ray Vargas and whoever he fights that winner?
Well, whoever's the champion,
Right.
and whoever's before him, after me, right? Like, which
Right.
is the number one at WBC, the number two. There's a lot of good fights to be made in that division and
Agree.
in that company. So whoever I gotta take out to get to the title, I'll do it, or whoever I gotta take out to get the title.
Let's look at the next 12 to 18 months for yourself. What do you see yourself in terms of how many fights you want to get done, accomplishments? Where do you see yourself? Let's say, I guess that would kind of put us 2027 timeline. Where do you see yourself heading into that new year?
Um, just staying active, man, accomplishing many more things, gaining more fans, and most important of all, putting a show for the people.
I love that, man. Box Rec right now says you could be returning August 15th. Is that around the time zone you want to return? Do you plan on getting back end of summertime?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's ideal. Things could change, right?
Right.
Anything could change in this sport. Nothing is for sure. But whatever comes by the end of this year, I'm all for it, man.
Out of all the different guys currently in the weight class, regarding the champions, obviously, we'll put those guys aside as we're talking about that possibly for next year. Are there other contenders that you have your eyes set on that you would like to go out there and fight?
Yes, sir. There's a lot. I'm not gonna say no names, man,
Right.
because a lot of these guys get a little triggered. But I'm just gonna say anybody on the top five on all across the board, man, and any belt, all the top guys and top 10, top five guys.
Could we see one of those fights with a top five, top 10 contender by the end of this year?
Hey, I don't say no. It's
All
all
right.
on them now. I'll put my ink to paper quick.
Mhm.
So it's really on their timing.
All
Like
right.
I'm just gonna keep developing, fighting, getting myself a little bit more money, and just waiting on the call, man.
You're 29 years old right now. Obviously, you're at 126, the featherweight division. Is 126 the weight class that you plan on solidifying yourself at? Continuing to work your way up? Do you ever see yourself moving to 130? Where do you stand on that component?
Um, right now I'm focused at 126,
Okay.
right? Um, I used to say that I could make 122, but I feel like that ship has sailed. I
Okay.
grew into my body a little bit more, but I can see myself going up to 130,
hmm
then 135. I
Okay.
don't call this reaching. Many would call it reaching, but I feel like 140. Just out of the fact, because of my height and I know what I could bring to the table, and I want to be four division champion.
All right. Now that's a little bit interesting because, like I said, you're 29 years old. So is 130 the jump? Obviously, be the first one you obviously would make there. Is that something we could see within the next year or two, or when do you see yourself possibly moving up to 130?
Um, First, I want to accomplish things at 126.
Okay.
If it makes sense to jump at 130 to get a shot, then I'll do it.
All right. So you would say, clarify if I'm wrong here. Would you say it's more so you are a okay making 126 right now? There's no problem with that weight cut. It's more so just once you accomplished everything you want at 126, you then want to go up to another weight class just because of your goals.
Yeah, just because
Okay.
of that, man. I love challenges. I love
Right.
testing myself. I don't want to sell myself short, man. I don't want to spend my whole career at 126 and
Mhm.
wonder what could have done at 130, 135, or 140, man. Like I know on paper my career could be short just because I'm older now,
Mm.
but if I could do some damage at 130 and 135, I'm gonna do it.
I know we talked about the longevity component because of the fact that you did not have as much kind of wear and tear for so many years. Do you feel like you still have many, many more years left in the sport? Like you could be fighting into your 35 type range, or do you even want to get out of the sport earlier on?
I told myself, like, regardless of what happens, I think 35 is the time where I walk away.
Okay.
I have a number in my head that I would like to get before I hang up the gloves. If I gotta stretch it a little bit, a couple more years, maybe 36, 37, then I'll do it.
Mm.
Especially if I'm healthy, right?
Right.
But I feel like 35 will be the cap.
All right. I love that, man. Well, Amar, I've got one final question for you. It's the question like wrapping up every interview with. And I was talking about your legacy. You just talked about obviously still got quite a few more years left in this sport. But when you put the gloves down, what do you want your legacy to be for what you've accomplished both inside and outside of the ring?
The guy that did it, man. The
Mm,
guy that made kids that come from nothing realize that they could do it. Because I
mm,
literally got this from the dirt.
word.
Many people would say it's a cliche story, but it's real. It's real. Like besides my legacy, besides accomplishing titles and for my bank account to the tip, man, and help my parents get everything they wanted. I just want to inspire people to think like, man, I could do anything. If this guy became champion, I could do anything.
I have to ask one more question to follow up off that, 'cause that's a huge statement you just made there, man. You talk about getting it from nothing. That's obviously a huge thing. Some guys have been given more than other people have in the boxing world. Obviously, you have different connections, relationships, parents, whatever it might be. When you talk about being able to become potentially world champion one day and getting it from where you once were, how much sweeter would that make that world championship for you?
Oh man, I'm gonna be doing snow angels on the ring, bro. Like that day it happens. Like, and I see it 100% happening. Yeah, maybe I'm delusional, maybe I'm crazy, bro, but it's already written, bro. Like
Mhm,
I just I already like every other fight. I already won the fight. I just need to let the date get here. Like it's
mhm.
already done. I'm already world champion in the future. I just need to get there, man. I
I
need to stay
love
focused and get there.
I love that, Omar. Well, Omar, thank you so much for coming on today, man. It's been a blessing and honor having you on. I cannot wait to see what God's got in store for you, man.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you for the interview, man. And I can't wait to get back on another interview with the title on my shoulder.
I love that, man. You're always welcome on, man. God bless.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
You as well. See you, man.